Thank you very much, my dear grade 7 learners. Mr. Ratio is back. I think you are energetic. We took some recess. We started in the morning with the first lesson, and now we are on lesson number 5. Now, in lesson number 5, we'll be looking at converting between cubic units. Just a recap, in the morning, in lesson 1 and 2, we're focusing on the surface area. From there, we moved on to the volume. Now we will be completing today's session with converting between the cubic units. Think we are all ready, and therefore this is now going to be a working session. Thank you very much. Let us just look at the presentation outline. As I said, it will be based on the cubic units to measure the volume. We're measuring the volume. Now, converting between the cubic units. We'll use the cubic units to measure the volume. And therefore now, if you can check in this picture that I'm having alongside this, it's a cube. We have a big cube, and therefore it's labeled A. And therefore look at the dimensions. The dimensions are 1 meter, 1 meter, 1 meter. Meaning the length is 1 meter, and the length of the breadth is 1 meter, and its height is also 1 meter. And therefore, if we have to calculate the volume, therefore from the previous lesson we said that will be V will be equal to length times length times length, which will be 1 meter multiplied by 1 meter multiplied by 1 meter, which will give us what? 1 cubic meters. And therefore, inside now this cube A, I have a small cube B. Can you see it? Down there is labeled as cube B. And therefore, its volume is 1 centimeter cubed, or 1 cubic centimeters. It is inside a big cube A with the volume of what? 1 cubic meters. And therefore, we are going to fill up this cube A with little cube B's, which measures or with a volume of 1 cubic centimeters. Now, this drawing shows cube A with an edge length of 1 meter, as I said. Also shown in a small cube, the one there, little one that is inside, that is shown and marked B, with an edge of 1 centimeters. Now, can you see? We are having a 1 meter for a bigger one, small one, 1 centimeters. Good. And therefore, you will recall that in grade 6 when we're dealing with the measuring instrument that, okay, a ruler, in a ruler, let me just show you this. In a ruler, we have what? The simple ruler. Look here, I have measurement in millimeters and therefore the centimeters. For example, let's have a look at here. If let me draw this line, just a line here, from 0 millimeter to 4, and therefore the length of this line will be 4 centimeter long. And therefore, let's check in terms of the millimeters. This line of 4 millimeters, and therefore look, it is 0 millimeters, and therefore it's equivalent to what? 40 millimeters. And therefore let us check the relationship between the two, and therefore we will say, okay, that one now, it is now 40. The 4 centimeter is equals to 40 centimeter. Remember, this is a line, it's not a division line. It was a straight line that we had to measure, and therefore would say 4 centimeters straight from the ruler, it's 40 millimeters. And therefore let us check the relationship, and therefore we'll say, all right, for us now to move from the centimeters to the millimeters. This is a recap from grade 6, and therefore you can see that we have to multiply by 10, because that one now 40 is 10 times bigger than what? Than 4. And therefore would say, okay, 4 multiplied by 10 is equals to 40. Therefore the 4 centimeter would be equal to the 40 millimeters. Same apply. Let's check if I have a line that measures 100 millimeters. 100 millimeters. Therefore, let's check. It will be equivalent to what length in terms of centimeters? Then let's use this ruler. Then we have to place it here accurately so. And therefore, it is exactly what it is, 10 centimeters. And therefore, you can see that in 100 millimeters, this is equivalent to what? 10 centimeters. And therefore, let us find the relationship. For us to be able now to move from millimeters to what? Centimeters. Therefore, what can we say? We would say, okay, we divide it by 10. And therefore, we would say 100 divided by 10, and therefore that is 10. And then we say, therefore, 10 millimeters is equal to 10 centimeters. Just from here, from the ruler. So make sure that your markings on your ruler are visible. There. Thank you. Right, let's get back to the cube now. So, the question here is, how many small cubes can fit inside the large cube? It means how many of small cubes, that is cube B's, that I can put inside the cube A, and therefore they will fill up the whole space. It means they will take up the whole volume. And therefore, I think you can agree with me there. I would say, if you look at first bullet, 100 small cubes can fit along the length of the base of cube A, because they are 100 centimeters in 1 meter. So now, let me try and show this one. Let me try and draw this picture on a paper. It will be a cube. You remember that the cube has got all faces equal. All the faces equal. And therefore, this one, the big one, it means the black one, is the cube A. That measures 1 meter, 1 meter, and then 1 meter. But inside now this cube, I have the small ones, and therefore this will be little cubes. Therefore, let's say these are cube B's. Né? Therefore, it should look exactly like a cube like this. Now, the question is, how many of these little cubes? Né? And therefore, the volume of A, I think you'll agree with me, it will be 1 meter times 1 meter times 1 meter. And therefore, we'll say the volume of the cube A, the black one, the big one, it will be 1 cubic meters. And therefore, let's look at the volume of the small one, that is cube B. Therefore, the formula is V is equals to length times length times length. But now we said these are 1, 1, 1, but now they are 1 centimeters, 1 centimeters. Therefore, it will be 1 centimeter multiplied by 1 centimeter multiplied by 1 centimeter. And therefore, the volume for the smaller or the red cube inside the bigger or the big cube will be 1 cubic centimeters. Now, let us check as to how many will fit and therefore occupy the whole space inside this big cube or cube A. Then now, we're saying 100 little small cubes can fit along the length of the base because they are 100 centimeters in 1 meter. Then now saying, right, then you're saying 1 meter is equals to 100 centimeters. Therefore, this say, or the relationship meter to centimeter will be what? Let's check the relationship. It will be that multiplied by 100. And therefore, vice versa, centimeter to the meter will do what? Will divide by 100. Now, the small to bigger we will divide, but bigger to small we multiply. Yes, meter to centimeter multiply by 100, and then centimeter to meter by divide by 100. And therefore now the second bullet, 100 small cubes can fit along the breadth of the base of cube A. Now we will have 100 of these cubes here fit in this side, 100 of them, and therefore also 100 of them fit in the breadth, and also 100 of them fit in the height. And therefore now we will have 100 of them, 100 of them, 100 of them, the red ones. It will be for this side, this length, let's take it as a breadth at the side, sorry, as a length, it will be 100 of the small ones. So 100 centimeter, and then 100 centimeters, 100 centimeters, 100 centimeters, 100 centimeters, and then the height also 100 centimeters. Then now the third bullet, the 100 small cubes can fit along the height of a cube as I have shown you in the drawing. Now, the total number of 1 cubic centimeter cubes in 1 meter in cubic meters will be the same as 100 multiplied by 100 multiplied by 100. So I was trying to demonstrate here to say that now we will say 100, we'll say the volume of what? 1 cubic meters will be equal to, the small one is what? 100 centimeter multiplied by, this shall be 100 centimeters, and then up also 100 centimeters. Then now 1 cubic meters will be equal to, let's check, what will be 100 multiplied by 100? 100 times 100 to be 10,000, correct? And then 10,000 multiplied by 100, it will be what? 1 million. Therefore, how many zeros there? 6 zeros. And therefore, it will be what? Then we will say 1 cubic meters will be equal to 1 million cubic centimeters. I think it is very, very clear from this picture. Okay, again, let's start. We have a big cube labeled as cube A. And what is its volume? Because the dimensions are 1 meter by 1 meter by 1 meter. So that will be what? 1 cubic meters. Inside it, we have what? We put cube B's, the small ones that measures what? 1 centimeter by 1 centimeter by 1 centimeter. Therefore, what will be the volume of the small cubes labeled cube B? That will be 1 centimeter times 1 centimeter multiplied by another 1 centimeter. That will be 1 cubic centimeters. And therefore, the length side, if I may put it that way, of this cube, of which will be what, let's say, is the length, the length side, because we have 3 lengths. Here in the front, it will be how many? It will be 100, and therefore the length of the breadth in terms of small cubes, 100 will fit. Going up, 100 will also fit. So now it means we will have, if we have to calculate the volume of the big cube, which is filled with small cubes, it will be what? It will be 100 centimeters multiplied by 100 centimeters times 100 centimeters. And therefore, the 1 cubic meter will be equal to 1 million cubic centimeters. Okay. Now, let's have a look at here so that we have a better understanding as to how it works. Work out how many cubic millimeters are equal to 1 cubic centimeters. Therefore, we have to copy and complete this sum there. It says 1 cubic centimeters will be equal to 1 centimeter multiplied by 1 centimeter multiplied by another 1 centimeters. Therefore, 1 cubic centimeters will be equal to this number of millimeters multiplied by another this much of millimeters and another multiply by another millimeters, and therefore we'll end up with how many cubic millimeters. Now, right, let's check here. They are saying, let us complete this. 1 cubic centimeters will be the same as what? 1 cubic centimeter, 1 centimeter by 1 centimeter. And therefore, now we are converting what? We are converting the centimeters to the millimeters. Now remember, in grade 6, again, let's go to grade 6, the version, we said 1 centimeter will be equal to, we have seen that when we were making use of a ruler to say 4 centimeters is the same as 40 millimeters. Why? What is the relationship? We said we multiply it by what? By a 10. So 4 times 10 is 40. Now 4 centimeter will be equal to what? 40 millimeters. And therefore now, from here, let's say, if 4 centimeters is equal to 40 millimeters, what will 1 centimeter be equal to? So it means we shall have divided both sides by 4. This will definitely be 10 millimeters. Now, if we look at this, we'll say, all right, 1 centimeter would be equal to 10 millimeters. 1 centimeter, 10 millimeters. And then 1 centimeter is equal to 10 millimeters. And therefore now, let us do the multiplication. Therefore, the units have already been taken care of for us. Then let's see, 10 multiplied by 10, it will be 100. Then what is 100 times 10? That will be 1,000. So this says 1 cubic centimeter is equal to 1,000. Sorry, it is 1,000 cubic millimeters. Again, we had to complete this table, work out this in millimeters. Okay, the solution is already there, but just to explain it, we're saying, all right, 1 centimeter, we're saying 1 centimeter is the same as 10 millimeters, or is equivalent, or is equals to 10 millimeters. And therefore now we said 1 centimeter, therefore, is 10 millimeters. We put 10, 10, 10, and then we do simple multiplication. 10 multiplied by 10 is 100. 100 multiplied by 10 is 1,000. So now we can safely say 1 cubic centimeter is exactly 1000 cubic millimeters. So it means now here the volume of the cubic bees, the small one, inside the big cube, that is cube A, will be what? It will be 1000 cubic millimeters. Now, let's go straight now to the calculations where we have to do what? To convert between the units. Now, look here. Number 2, it says, write the following volumes in cubic centimeters. Now, I have a hint for you to say that when we are converting the cubic centimeters or the centimeters to the millimeters, what are we going to do? We are definitely going to divide by 1000. So A, we have A, it says 1000 millimeters, cubic millimeters. I must take care of those units of measurement. Okay, number 2 is saying 1000 cubic millimeters will be equal to how many cubic centimeters? Now let's have a look. We must now convert what? The millimeters to the centimeters. Therefore, now here, to be exact, we have what? Cubic millimeters and cubic centimeters. Therefore, how are we going to convert? Now we are going to say, okay, cubic millimeters to cubic centimeters. What is it that you are going to do? It is the small to the big. Then what do? We will do what? Divide by 1000, because we said 1 cubic centimeter is exactly 1000 cubic millimeters. So now I am going to say the 1000 divided by 1000 definitely is going to be 1. Therefore, 1000 cubic millimeters will be equal to 1 cubic centimeters. How did I get this one? Arrive at 1. It's 1000 divided by 1000, which will be 1. And therefore, we can see that 1 cubic centimeters is exactly 1000. Is exactly 1000 cubic millimeters from this one. Okay, let's go to the second one. The second one, that is B, from the second question, B, it says, write the following volumes in cubic centimeters. Now we have 3000 cubic millimeters is equals to how much of the cubic centimeters? And then what is it that we are going to do? Still the same root. What do? We will say, okay, cubic millimeters to cubic centimeters, we divide by 1000. And therefore, I'm going to say 3000 divided by 1000. What is 3000 divided by thousands? How many thousands are in 3000? Therefore, there are 3 thousands in 3000. Therefore, the 3000 cubic millimeters will be equal to 3 cubic centimeters. Right? Let's take another one. Look at this one now. C. C, it's saying the 2500 cubic millimeters will be equal to how many cubic centimeters? Okay, this one. Let me just give you some time to copy this one. We are now slowly but surely trying to up the game. Let's check. But there's a simple division that you did in grade 6. Remember, you were also introduced to the decimal fractions were in grade 6. Okay? The same root. What did you do with A? We set the 1000 multiplied by 1000. Then we had 1. In B, the 3000, we divided by 1000, and therefore the answer was 3. Hence we said 3000 cubic millimeters is equal to the 3 cubic centimeters. Now have a look at here. 2500 cubic millimeters will be equal to how much of the cubic centimeters? The same procedure. 2500, okay, you can write it this way, divide by 1000, and therefore let's do simple arithmetic. One can say 0, take off the 0, and then this one, I'm trying to simplify this. Now look, I'm left with what? 25 divided by 10. 25 divided by 10, let me rewrite it here. 25 divided by 10. We have simplified this. Simplification is important in mathematics. Now we have reduced the value of that number. Now it's 25 out of what? 10, but they are equivalent. Good. So now let's go. We would say, okay, the 25 divided by 10. How many tens are in 25? Okay, let's do it this way. 10, 20, 30. If I go to the third 10, it skips, so I'll say it goes 2 times. Do I have another number there? No. Therefore, I will say what? Comma, and therefore I know I have my 0 there. Now, how do you read now this number? It's 250. Therefore, 10 into we said 10 into 25, it was 2 times, ne? And therefore, put comma, therefore, how do we read this one? It's 50. Now, 10 into 50, then it's simple, that will be what? 5. And therefore, I have what? 2, 5. Now, this simply means 25 or 2500 cubic millimeters would be 2,5 what? Cubic centimeters. Right. The next one, D, is 4,450. 2 converted to cubic centimeters. The cubic centimeters, and therefore we say, okay, procedure is the same. Let me just write it down. 4,450, and therefore would say divided by 1000. We divide it by 1000. Cubic millimeters to centimeters again, divide by 1000. Okay? What we did for A, B, C, therefore still stands for D. Can we simplify this? Yes, let us simplify this. Can I simplify this and this one? And therefore, now look, I have now working with a smaller nyana now value is 4. It will read as 445 divided by 100. 445 divided by 100. And therefore now I would say, how many hundreds are in 445? Therefore, 100 into 445 will go how many times? 4 times. 100, 200, 300, 400. Ne? and therefore I will remain with what? With 45. And therefore I'll have a comma there, therefore there is what? The 0. Then I say 100 into 450. Therefore I will have what? I will have 4, and therefore put 0 there. 500, 100 into 500, it will be 5. And therefore I will have what? 4,45 and not 45, because after comma those digits now are less than 10, and therefore we can safely say 4,450 cubic millimeters will be equal to 4,45 cubic centimeters. The same will apply with E and F. Now let's have a look at 3, the third one, number 3. Number 3, now we are given the instruction to say, write the following volumes in now what? Cubic meters. In number 2, we're converting the cubic centimeters, the cubic millimeters to cubic centimeters. Now we need to do what? To convert now the cubic centimeters to what? To cubic meters. Therefore, what do? You remember when we started? Therefore, all right, the hint is there. We said 1 cubic meters is exactly 1 million cubic centimeters. And therefore now we are going to say, 3, let me rewrite the question. We are now converting cubic centimeter to cubic meters. And therefore, what is the hint? We will divide by what? By 1 million. By 1 million. Because we said when we started, and let's go back there, we said 1 cubic meter is equal to 1 million cubic centimeters. We said, or we have seen that 1 cubic meters is exactly 1 million cubic centimeters. Now let us do A. A says 1 million cubic centimeters will be equal to how many cubic meters? Now let's try to do this one. Earlier, when we started, we have seen from the big cube A and cube B with the volume of 1 cubic meters and 1 cubic centimeters that the volume of a cube will be of 1 meter by 1 meter by 1 meter will be 1 cubic meters, and therefore it will be filled by small cubes which were labeled B with the dimensions. It was 1 centimeter by 1 centimeter by 1 centimeter, and therefore when we work it out, we said that would be the volume of those small ones will be now worked out to 1 million cubic centimeters. Now here the question is, we must now convert cubic centimeters to cubic meters. What is the hint? We divide by what? By 1 million. If a small one to a bigger one, we divide. If it was cubic meter to a cubic centimeter, that would be what? the bigger one to the small one, what we're going to do to multiply by 1000. Good. Now, we are going to take the 1 million and then divide by the 1 million there, and therefore 1 million divided by 1 million, surely it will be 1. Therefore, we can confidently say 1 million cubic centimeters will be equal to how much of the cubic meters? Definitely 1 cubic meter. And then let's take the next one. It is 4 million cubic centimeters. We need to convert that to cubic meters. Then we say B, the 4 million cubic centimeters is exactly how many cubic meters? Here is the question. The 4 million cubic centimeters would be equal to how much of the cubic meters? And therefore, what is it that we have learned earlier? That 1 cubic meter is exactly 1 million cubic centimeters. And when we are converting cubic centimeters to cubic meters, we definitely divide by 1 million. So the same here will apply to say I will have the 4 million, take care of all the zeros, there must be 6, and then one can say let me divide this by 1 million. And therefore what will be the answer? And you see, it is 1 million into 4 million, and therefore that will go 4 times, because 4 million is 4 times 1 million, and therefore we can say the 4 million cubic centimeters is equal to 4 cubic meters. I think it's clear. Now we do the same with the rest. Let's go to number 4, interesting ones. Now in number 4, write the following volumes in cubic centimeters. Then now they are mixed up. We have cubic millimeters, which must be converted to the cubic centimeters. And we also have the cubic meters, which must be converted to what? To the cubic centimeters. Now look at the hint that I have provided. We divide by 1000 if we are converting the cubic centimeters to the cubic millimeters, and vice versa. If we are converting the cubic centimeters to the cubic meters, then we will multiply by 1 million. Let's take one from each. Let's look at 4a. 4a is 2000 cubic millimeters. Then we want to check S2. That will give us how much cubic centimeters. And then now look from the hint. A cubic, when we are converting the cubic millimeters in number 4, we will say, all right, the 2000, we will have, let me show you, okay, the 2000, then we will divide by 1000, And therefore, if I divide 2,000 by 1,000, it will be what? 2. And therefore, we can say, therefore, 2,000 cubic millimeters will be equal to 2 what? Cubic centimeters. Because now, if we convert the cubic millimeters to cubic centimeters, we will divide by 1,000. And then now, let's take the next one, and the next one, which was C. C is 1,5. 1,5, that is for C. 1,5 cubic meters will be equal to how much of the cubic centimeters? And therefore now let's check. When we are converting the cubic centimeters to the cubic meters, what do? We will definitely multiply by 1 million. And therefore now, if I multiply 1,5, okay, let me show you the calculation. 1,5 multiplied by 1 million. 1, 2, 3, it's 6 zeros, and therefore this will be what? It's 1,5 multiplied by, let me do this. If it was 1,5 multiplied by 10, let us for now turn a blind eye on the other zeros. If it was 1,5 multiplied by 10, what would the answer be? 1,5 times 10. Okay, definitely it will be 15. Ne? So if it was 100 multiplied by 1,5, 150. Okay, now you have seen the pattern. If it is 1,5 multiplied by 1 million, all right, it will be 1,500,000. Ne? Good. Now let's take more of a problem solving one. Okay, this one. These are types of questions that will definitely be there in your exams. Let us solve this. Solving the problems that are based on what? Converting to the cubic units under what? The surface area and the volume. Now a rectangular hole has been dug for a children's swimming pool. Its dimensions are as follows. It is 7 meters long, it is 4 meters wide, and it is 1 meter deep. What is the volume of the earth that has been dug out? What do we do here? You would remember that, okay, now we need to say, all right, let me rewrite the dimensions. They are saying the length of that pool is 7 meters long. It is 4 meters wide, so that is the breadth. And then it is 1 meter deep. This will be the height. Ne? Right. Now I have the information here. Now we want to see the volume. Ne? The length, the dimensions are, the length is 7 meters, and the breadth is 4 meters, and the height is 1 meters. Now we want to check. The question is, what is the volume of the earth that has been dug out? Then we need to calculate the volume. Remember, the volume to calculate what? To calculate the volume of a rectangular prism. We said it is the area of the base, that is length times breadth. Length times breadth, and then we multiply by what? By the height. And then we'll have the V, and then we do the simple substitution. Length is 7 meters, multiply by the breadth 4 meters, multiply by the height 1 meter. And therefore now let's check. 7 meter multiply by the 4 meters, it will be 7 by 4, it's 28, multiply by what? By 1. It will be 28. It will be 28, but okay, here. But now remember, as I said in the previous lessons, that you know what do you do if we are multiplying and then we have the same basis. I'm looking at the units now. Or we already know that if we are calculating the volume of a rectangular prism, and therefore what will be the unit? It will be what? Here it is calculated in meters. So it will be 28 cubic meters that has been dug out. Now look at question 6. Calculate the volume of wood in the blank shown below. But now the question or the answer should be in cubic centimeters. The dimensions are given in what? They are given in millimeters. But now we have to do what? We have to convert to the cubic centimeters. Okay. We are now confident with the area of a rectangular prism. We can clearly see that the picture of this wood plank is a rectangular prism. So what is the formula to calculate? Okay, let me write the dimensions first. They're saying the length is 100 millimeters and the breadth is 10 millimeters, and then the height is 50 millimeters. Okay, all right. Then we want to calculate the total area or the volume, of this plank. Now we'll say, what is the formula? V is equals to, we said, start with the area of the base, length multiplied by breadth. Then it will be multiplied by what? By the height. Then now let us do the substitution. What is the length? It's 100 meters multiplied by the breadth, 10 millimeters, multiplied by the height, 50 millimeters. And therefore, now let us do the calculation. We would say 100 multiplied by 10. What is 100 multiplied by 10? It will be 1000. Then the 1000 multiplied by 50, it will definitely be 50,000, correct? 50,000. And therefore, this is millimeters. Now, the millimeters, it will be what? Cubic millimeters. But the question says, now, this cubic millimeters must be converted to what? To cubic centimeters. The question says the answer should be in cubic centimeters. And therefore now, how do we convert the cubic millimeters to the cubic centimeters? We'll definitely do what? Remember, smaller to bigger, we will do what? We will divide. We will divide by what? We will divide it by 1000. Nay, we will divide it by the 1000. Divide this by 1000 as it appears there in the memo. So you have your 50,000 divided by 1000. So how many thousands are there in 50,000? Okay, we can't even approach it this way by simplifying it this way, and therefore how many thousands are in 50,000? Definitely they are 50. They are 50. Therefore the volume would be equal to 50 cubic centimeters. We have, okay, the answer will be in cubic centimeters. Therefore we can see that the volume that measures 50 cubic millimeters therefore is the same as what? As the volume of 50 cubic centimeters. And therefore this is how we will convert between the two. These are the types of exam questions that you will come across. And on that note, I hope you enjoyed the 5 lessons for today that were focusing on the topic of surface area and the volume. Then we have separated or look at different concepts and skills or subtopics under the topic of surface area and volume. Then we said in lesson number 1 and 2, the focus was on the surface area. In lesson 3 and lesson 4, we're focusing more on different questions and approaches of what? Of volume. And then now lastly, we're looking now at the 2, but now what we're doing, we're looking at converting between different cubics, as we're working with the units of, in terms of centimeters, meters, and the millimeters. But now because we're working with or focusing on volume, the answers were in cubic centimeters, cubic meters, and cubic millimeters. So I hope when you are, if you haven't started already with this topic in the school, the notes that you have taken today, this lesson, if you revise it more and more, will come handy. On that note, I wish you all the best of luck in your exams. And remember, luck is when the preparation meets the opportunity to write that paper. So I hope to see you next year in high school, where you'll be in grade 8.